Peace, brothers and sisters. Today is July 14th, 2016. It's about a week or a little more than a week since the murders of Philando Castile in Minnesota, and Brother Alton in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this issue has been on my mind for quite a while, and have raised it in the past, but I think there's a serious need for us as a people to look at the issue of the countless encounters that we have with members of the police department and various agencies that are related to so-called law enforcement. We are seeing countless numbers of our people brutalized, attacked, abused, and murdered by various members of these different law enforcement agencies that make the claim or operate under the guise of dealing with enforcing the law. As I thought about the issue of what is a crime, and many of the people who have been innocent of any real crime and when I say crime, I'm basically talking about no injury to any other person that they have committed, yet they are being approached, arrested, or the action of attempting to arrest, and in the process bodily harm or even death takes place because of the actions of these various members of these law enforcement agencies. Upon looking in copies of law dictionaries, which I have, and looking at a third and a fourth edition of Black's Law Dictionary, and looking into the definition of crime, I was surprised to see something which was somewhat kind of contrary to my original premise of a crime being something where there is an injured party. And when I say an injured party, I'm speaking about an individual, a real-life person who has been hurt in some form or fashion, or whose property may have been damaged or injured or taken from a real live person. I want to go into reading the definition of the Black's Law Dictionary, and both of these copies of Black's Law Dictionary, the third edition and the fourth edition is pretty much basically the same. I did have a fifth edition which got damaged, so I'd imagine that whatever's in the third or the fourth is either going to be more watered down than either the third or the fourth. And I have to take a look at the first and the second edition, which I have on a digital version that may give a little different scenario than what is in this particular edition of the third and fourth, based on crime, and also looking at the issue of arrest and considering an arrest, we should first go back to the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment, which speaks to the issue of arrest. And although the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment, which deals with the issue of arrest, has been interpreted or reinterpreted by the Supreme Court over the years, it has led to numerous abuses of our privacy and protection that is supposed to be protected under the Constitution. So let me kind of get into, and there's a lot to say on the definition of crime. It actually it actually spans a little more than about 2 pages. So it starts here and extends to the whole next page and continues to right about here. So let me just get into some of the meat of this, and I may wind up breaking this down into 2 videos as not to take up too much time on it. And there definitely is a lot for us to understand, and a lot that I think we need to address. Many things have happened before us that has brought us to where we are today, but sometimes it's necessary to go back and correct some of the things that have been done that have placed us in a situation that is costing us our lives on a daily basis. Once again, my point is that there needs to be a stop to people in general, but us as a people in particular, being arrested for such petty nonsense, which leads to the abuse of power by those in law enforcement who turn us into a system that has been designed from the creation of laws to the application of those laws through the various arms of law enforcement into the courts. To produce a system that is designed to oppress us financially, economically, socially, and in all the various forms of existence that we live in this country and throughout the world. Money is made through the process of creating these laws, having law enforcement agencies arrest us as a people, and I'm emphasizing us because for the most part you do not see Caucasians or many other races or nationalities arrested for the types of things that have been created to create this trap that we've been put in. Simple things that we can compare in different communities. For instance, in New York City, it's supposedly a crime against the law, a violation, a misdemeanor to consume alcohol in public. Yet, in New York City, there is the Long Island Railroad, which is a public system which anybody inside the city, anybody traveling through the city, anybody who wants to leave New York City into the various areas of Nassau or Suffolk County, where there are many Caucasians who live and travel back and forth to work and into the city to shop and be entertained and visit their families, etc., etc. On this particular train system, which is inside New York City, it is allowed, it is legal, and it is established that alcohol, beer, I guess, I don't know if they sell anything more, but I know that beer is sold to people who come inside the Long Island Railroad, and they can get on the train, or maybe they don't have to get on the train, and they can purchase a beer. I'm not exactly sure if they get on a train with simply a can or a bottle, or perhaps it's poured in a cup. I don't drink myself, so I don't know. I can't recall what the actual practice is, but we often see brothers in our communities who are given tickets, sometimes arrested, or having what's called an open container. Now, I'd have to look into it to see. Does an open container mean that a cup is also an open container? And what actually constitutes an open container? That would have to be looked into. But my point is that there is a disparate, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the word properly, this disparity. And basically what I'm trying to say is there's a difference between those two scenarios that take place, and I have yet to see anybody on the Long Island Railroad arrested for drinking in public, yet you will see Caucasians intoxicated on the Long Island Railroad and acting obnoxious and obviously intoxicated, drunk, sometimes annoying, sometimes creating problems, yet, as I said, I have yet to see anybody of the Caucasian persuasion arrested related to the situation of alcohol. Yet a brother could be walking down the street minding his business, standing in front of his house or where he lives, and be arrested for consuming alcohol. Once again, I don't consume alcohol. I don't advocate it. I don't condone it. I don't see any benefit in it. But to have two sets of standards that exist appears to be unjust. And that's the point I'm trying to make. But that's just an example of a myriad of situations that take place that brothers and sisters are arrested for on a daily basis, not only in New York City, but around the country, because of certain laws, so-called laws, statutes, violations, or regulations and rules or whatever that have been created excuse me, that create the open season to acquire money, to induce the need for police to fulfill their quotas that feed this system that is basically unjust. Now, a few months ago, I don't recall exactly when it was, that I believe it was it might have been sometime last year, Eric Holder, who was at that time the United States Attorney General, made a call after the Michael Brown murder by the pig in Ferguson, Missouri. Excuse me. He basically called for an investigation of various cities around the country that were focusing on our people to make arrests and enrich their pockets with money from unjust arrest and wrongful arrests and the various corruptions that go along to make that happen. Since that announcement, Eric Holder had resigned and Loretta Lynch had been appointed as the United States Attorney General. Excuse me. I've yet to hear her repeat or endorse excuse me, the call that Eric Holder made regarding that issue. Perhaps everything that he may have put in place has been dismantled or forgotten. I should say forgotten on the agenda of the Justice Department, but it has not been forgotten in my mind, and I'm sure many people who heard what he had said and clearly understand what it was he was talking about. Because in almost every city, especially the large cities where we exist as a people, we see the same thing over and over again. When court opens every weekday in the morning or perhaps even on the weekends, crowds of our people wait online to go into court to deal with the issue of an arrest, of a ticket, of a summons, of the guise of some type of crime that we supposedly have committed. There's a book I have called The Secret Destiny of America by Manly P. Hall. And there's a section that talks about how you know when a society is corrupt because it has numerous laws that have been created inside its society. And it is clear to see that we are living in such a corrupt land where so many laws have been created to entrap and ensnare and rape our people on a daily basis. I'm going to end this particular video, and I will continue with the definition of crime and also looking at the definition of an arrest. And once again, we as a people need to demand changes in these so-called laws and the so-called approval of people being arrested for non-violent so-called crimes or violations. This has really gotten totally out of hand, and it's way past time we raise our voices to make changes. So contact your local and various level politicians to demand changes, because this is what is allowing police to violate us on a daily basis. Yes, they must be held accountable, but at the same time, the things that allow them to play these games with us and put us in situations of danger every day is unacceptable, and it will not change until we make our voices felt across this country and anywhere else where it happens. Peace.